Welcome back to another edition of the Unknown Sports Podcast. I'm your host, AJ Musser. Joined with me, as usual, is Austin Fyffe and Hunter Harris. Post-Super Bowl, post-season. Almost time for the podcast to go on a break, guys. How are you guys doing? You hanging in there? Hunter, you look like you're about to fall asleep.
I'm always about to fall asleep, just like I was in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
AJ, I see you've already moved on to hockey. What kind of jersey we got on today?
Oh, it's just a Blackhawks hoodie.
I love it.
We're already a top 10 pick for the draft next year. Not anywhere close to the playoffs, and that's where we're going to stay.
Hopefully we can get the first pick.
Not going to happen. There are too many really bad teams. Oh, it is. Yeah, you're right.
Austin, back with the turtle. Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
Totals. Is he swimming? Move your shoulder.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I have no idea.
Are you serious? Are you serious?
Literally no
It's
idea.
not his turtle. He doesn't care.
He lives in the same house as you, though.
She was calling him little buddy for a while, so I guess that.
Yeah. Hunter with the news.
Well, the Rams are Super Bowl champions.
Okay.
There we go.
That is technically news, yes.
And women are literally falling for Matt Stafford.
No, they're falling in front of Matt Stafford. It's different.
Yeah.
And he does not care at all.
And she fractured her back.
Yeah.
Hopefully she's doing okay.
I don't know if I don't know how good you can be doing with a fractured spine, but
Well, she tweeted out that she was waiting on the x-rays, but I think that was before the fractured thing came out. But she said she was okay other than that, except she broke her cameras, which is the real downfall.
Stafford and his wife did say that they're going to pick up all medical bills in said situation, so that was a cool move by them.
Yeah.
It would also be a cool move if he helped her.
Well,
he
technically,
made sure his wife did.
Yeah, and technically, if she falls down and it's a back or neck injury, you're not supposed to move them. So there wasn't really much they could do anyway.
So he was taking
the
proper precautions there. Actually,
yeah.
I'm gonna defend him and say, yeah, that's what he was doing. But also, he was intoxicated, so it probably was best that he wasn't the decision maker in that situation. So Matt Stafford, you're not getting canceled for that.
No, he's not. But by way of news, what do we actually have? Because I'm absolutely blanking on anything else that happened news-wise in the NFL.
Vikings got their coach, dude.
What?
Vikings got their coach.
Yep. Kevin O'Connell named the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings officially.
What do you think of that?
I mean, we talked about this with other coaches, like the Mike McDaniel hire. It's hard to say how much of a good hire it is when you're naming an offensive coach that doesn't call plays underneath another offensive coach. So I don't feel like that's a great, it's hard enough to learn to become a head coach in the NFL than to also become kind of a first-time offensive coordinator in the league. At the same time, you're trying to balance being a first-time head coach in the league. Feels like quite an uphill climb, but we'll see how it goes. We got a couple instances this year that we can, figure out if it's going to work or not.
Do you actually even think Zimmer was the problem there at all?
I think it was a big combination of stuff.
Yeah, I think it was time for a change. I don't think Zimmer's a bad coach. It was just time for a change. It wasn't working, and it was like, okay, do we want to be stuck in the mud for another 5 years or just do something? And they did something, and I think it was good for all parties.
Yeah, I mean, and they're more than likely going to move on from Cousins, I think. And there's going to be a big shakeup, and there's nothing worse. Hunter, I know you're a big advocate for it. There's nothing worse than being 8-8, and it felt like that's the path that Minnesota's been on for a long time. And they're either going to get better or they're going to get worse, and we'll find out. But at least good draft position gets you in a spot where you can get some good draft picks. So we'll see.
Speaking of draft, for those of you listening, we won't be doing our weekly podcast because there's no reason for us to do weekly podcasts when we're already bad enough at doing the news as it is. So we will do podcasts when it feels appropriate. We'll probably do a minimum of one leading up to the draft, and then we will definitely do one draft recap, and then probably just spitballing here, probably like one training camp / preseason podcast, and then the season preview podcast.
Yeah, when there's a bunch of free agent news, we'll definitely have something to talk about.
Yeah, we'll have at least one free agency show.
We won't be checking in saying, we heard that the Jaguars' third string tight end is really picking up this week. No, we're not going to be doing any of that stuff. But
no, and it won't be an every week of, hey, the couple of guys. We'll probably do one big free agency review podcast prior to the draft, and then we'll do our draft stuff. But that's the off-season preview for the podcast because, hey, we need vacations too. Not that we're really taking a vacation, but you know what I mean.
When you take a vacation, isn't that usually from a job where you like get paid and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, we do this for the fun of it, and because we have people that listen, like you, the listener. We don't know who you are. We looked at our numbers; they have dropped a little bit. But the shocking thing is that people are still listening. We do this thinking nobody listens, and we're just here talking to a camera. But apparently, there's people out there that listen, and kudos to you guys for listening.
Our audience, for numbers wise, if you guys actually want to know how many people we got. We're about ranging from 20 to 35, literally any sort of week. But at least it's a consistent listening group. So, hey, appreciate you guys.
And we were in the 40s / 50s before, so a slight decrease. But we've talked about this behind the scenes and stuff. But like, we try to count of who the people are that we know that listen, and I think we get to like 4 or 5 of those people who are regular listeners. So the fact that there's like 20 or 25 or 30 other people listening, we have no idea who you are, but kudos to you and shout out to you guys. Thanks for listening. Man, we should drop you guys some free merch, but we have no idea who you are.
And we don't have merch.
No merch.
Well,
we also don't have merch.
We have merch now, Austin.
Oh, we do.
I mean, yeah, Austin's got the first Unknown Sports Podcast shirt. Hunter, you and I have got the beer glasses. So technically there's merch, but not for retail.
Oh, it's for sale. If someone wants to make me an offer, I will sell it to you.
All right, let's dive into the Super Bowl. What was your guys' thoughts, opinions, reactions? Hunter, I know you were half asleep, so you took pretty much a nap every commercial break, but you caught some of the good commercials. Austin, how was your viewing experience?
It was good. I went to a buddy's out of town to watch it. It was good until you had to drive 2 hours back home after the game and then work at 8:30, 9 o'clock the next day. That
you didn't really think that one through.
Well, I really didn't think it through when we came home and the dogs had several accidents all over the house. So that turned my midnight going to bed into about 2 a.m. So it was a lot of fun. The game was good, at least. Sounds
like you had about as shitty of a night as Joe Burrow did.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like after the game, I didn't think he played too bad, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. There was a couple what I thought was catastrophic injuries in this game, and they just kept playing. So
yeah, Matt Stafford, for the age you are, and to be able to take being rolled up on like that and walk away from it. Holy cow. Kudos to you for keeping yourself healthy and being able to walk away from that. Joe Burrow, you're lucky you're that young because that was pretty gruesome too. He did sprain his MCL. That was news. Hunter, good try though. Kudos.
Hey, there you go. Who felt worse that night? Austin walking in and having to go to bed at 2 a.m. and clean up a whole bunch of messes from his pets in the house? Or Joe Burrow walking out of that stadium having to put that suit back on and that hat after losing?
When I was at the place that I was going to, I saw the outfit that he showed up in, and I immediately became a huge Rams fan just for the comedic factor of him having to put that thing back on and either talk to the media or leave in it.
I think it's funny, though, that everyone's giving him such grief about his wardrobe when that could have been the case any game this postseason with what he wore, but everyone gave him credit and like, oh yeah, the outfits he wears. Like, don't knock the guy when he loses and wears, like, if he's gonna wear something, outstandish, he's gonna do it every week, win or lose.
Oh, yeah.
You don't need to bash the guy.
No, I'm not bashing him for it.
I
It's
know,
just
I'm not just
hilarious.
saying just you guys bringing it up, but like everyone in media, like I remember
Oh,
Cal
yeah.
Hurd said something about it before the game, and it's like, I mean, if you're gonna bash the guy now, why haven't you been bashing him for his outfits the past few weeks? Don't just, when he's probably gonna lose, don't jump on that wagon at that point.
Personally, I hadn't really paid attention to the outfits that he wore, so I don't know how ridiculous they were before the Super Bowl. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's no reason to bash the guy if you're not going to stay, continuous with it. But
yeah,
that's who he is. The same things. Wow, that was good. We're said about Cam Newton and all his ridiculous outfits, and hey, you can't wear that to a losing press conference. Well, imagine he probably doesn't have 3 different outfits in his bag for every single game.
Yeah, it does look kind of funny though when someone's up there sniffling or really frustrated and they dress like a freaking clown. Also, OBJ tore his ACL in the first half of this game, and I thought, to me, before OBJ tore his ACL in that game, it kind of had the feeling of the Rams might run away with this because Stafford to OBJ was the thing in that first half, and they were killing it. A really unfortunate non-contact injury for OBJ. I did feel bad for the guy.
Yeah.
The NBC broadcast, man, there's been so many shots at the Browns this past week with the OBJ thing. Right. They're just taking jabs from everywhere, and it's like, whoa, nobody did anything to deserve this. Like, they're like, yeah, Cleveland kicked him out, and it's like, I don't think that's how it went down, but okay.
And I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, but this is pretty close to a quote when Collinsworth said that when they talked to Odell, he felt like he was thrown out on the streets by getting his release from Cleveland. That is the most laughable thing that I've ever heard in my life.
To anyone that paid attention this season, yes, it is. To the people who just tuned into the Super Bowl, they're like, oh man, what a narrative.
Yeah. Demanded a trade, had his dad create a freaking diss tape of all of Baker's throws and non-throws, and then was like, yeah, man, I was just stunned that I was cut after I literally was asked to be cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a little bit ridiculous for sure. But yeah, I do feel bad for the guy for tearing his ACL.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. I do too. And I'm not ripping on the guy whatsoever. I like I said, I was disappointed that he hurt himself because he was having a really good game and he was on a team that finally he fits in. I mean, I don't want to see guys with a lot of talent wasted anywhere. That's not cool for them.
Yeah. I mean, it's not to be like super looking at the future and super negative about it, but like, how much are we sure Odell's going to bounce back from this? Like, this is now several of them, and he clearly hasn't been what he was before the first ACL injury. And I mean, at some point, that's got to really affect his abilities on the field.
In my personal opinion, I don't think that his ability post the first torn ACL, he's been very different. His first setback he had when he was in Cleveland, he had a hip issue, which messed him up as well. But I think he was just fine of a route runner once he got help, like once he felt comfortable on that knee again. And you couldn't tell in Cleveland because he wasn't getting throws and was running, we all know the Cleveland thing. We don't even need to talk about it. But he looked good in the Rams system, running routes and everything. I don't know. I think he can bounce back from this one. Of course, it's going to be much harder because it's the second time. But, he's not going to make a lot of money in L.A. or anywhere because nobody's going to pay a high price for someone coming off their second torn ACL of the same knee.
Yeah, he's in a really weird position because we were talking about, okay, does he stay with the Rams here because that's his best fit, but they can't pay him a lot of money. And now he's in the position of, well, if I'm going to play, basically I have to play for no money anyways because no one's going to pay me. I think at this point his best option is probably retirement and to try to go into media. But if he wants to battle back, we saw this year, he's still got it. But it's just he might not be at the expectation level where he wants to be playing wise. So, I mean, it really just comes down to him and what he wants to do. But I think personally, media, he'd be great in. Thoughts on that?
Because they have so many people that like him.
I mean, a lot of people do.
I wouldn't blame him for if he retired. I mean, he has a laundry list of injuries. I don't think it's quite there yet. But I mean, I don't ever blame. Once you start getting into multiple major injuries on any one specific body part, you have to really look long term at what you want your quality of life to be. He's made a ton of money. So, I mean, if that's what he chooses, I won't blame him at all. But I still think he's going to come back out. I think it's almost all but guarantees him coming back with the Rams. Because like you said, Hunter, he's basically not going to make money now.
Yeah, at this point, if he's coming back, he's going to be a Ram, I think.
Yeah. So it's where he wants to be. He already said before the Super Bowl that he would take less money to come back to the Rams, and he's going to have to
And now
save
he
less
has
money
to.
than that, just to, because he may not be back till late November or later.
Yeah. The difference maker, if we wanted to get to the actual game, when we broke this down, we laid it out as offensive line for the Bengals, defensive line for the Rams. That's basically going to decide this game. That's basically what it was, right, guys? I mean, I don't know any other way to break it down other than that. It's what happened in this game.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I think Austin agrees as well. The line play was big when it came to the Bengals. I mean, their 2 touchdowns they got, it's a trick play. It's a trick play for the touchdown, but to get there, Jamar Chase has to make an incredible catch to get them down the field. And then the other touchdown they have is a face mask on T. Higgins that doesn't get called for a 75-yard touchdown, which great play by him. That's something super hard for a ref on the field to be able to see. Of course, the whole world can see it because it's pretty obvious, but when you're flying like that down the field, it's pretty tough to see. Austin, you probably don't agree with that. But
No, I do. That is hard to see. My problem with all of it is that, like, the whole officiating as a whole was not bad in that game, but the calls that were missed were so important.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's a touchdown. The holding at the end of the game on the goal line.
But I'm in the minority there. I know that. But that one to me is more of that's going to get called every time. When you have a hand on each hip.
No, you're right.
Then
I know
it's going to get called.
Yeah.
Especially when it's a guy like Cooper Kupp. If it's a premier, running back or wide receiver, that's going to get called every time. But
to me too, though, like, the right hand wasn't ever on, or no, I'm sorry. The left hand, one of the hands wasn't on. I can't really see it in my head right now. One of the hands wasn't on. The other one was on and let go. But also the ball's thrown so far behind him that at the same time, it's like, it's not even a good throw. He had to stop and turn around. So almost like if he got held, it would have been better.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
Well,
it's not like he led him too far and he got held back and the ball,
Right. There was a missed ejection in that game that I don't feel like enough people are talking about when Donald threw Burrow out of bounds there, which is legal and was legal.
Yep.
And then one of the guys that were called for a unsportsmanlike penalty on that, he threw a punch. That's an ejection every time. It's a clear cut rule. There's no, trying to figure out what happened. There's no interpretation in it. That's huge. If they're missing part of that offensive line, we saw what it did intact in the second half. If you start giving Donald guys that are backups in there, he would have wrecked the game even more and then probably won MVP. But I mean, it is what it is. I think ultimately the team that deserved to win won. The
better team clearly won in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, they were the most talented team all year. But there was times they weren't the best team. But I mean, I think overall that was the best team won the Super Bowl, which is ultimately what you want.
Yeah. Difference makers in this game. I mentioned the offensive line and defensive line for the Rams. I I mean, we have to give big shout out to Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp. You guys already mentioned Kupp, but Stafford too. That game-winning drive there, just complete under control. He just impressed me all postseason, honestly. There's a couple moments there where he did throw up some lame dunk passes, but he's prone to do that his whole career. But at the end of the day, I mean, at the beginning of the season, I don't know if you guys picked the Rams as a Super Bowl pick. I picked them, and I didn't stick with them because I'm a moron. But, I mean, the way we analyzed this team was the best team in the league, and then they just got an upgraded quarterback. So why not pick them? And that's basically what the difference maker was in this team. They had a quarterback that could finally get it done and make up for Sean McVay falling apart down the stretch, make up for losing their second best wide receiver that was kind of carrying their offense. That's basically what the difference maker was Matt Stafford in the end.
What's crazy to me is that, like, this team wins every playoff game with Robert Woods by like 20 points.
Yes.
Because, in a weird way, because of the blocker that Robert Woods is. Mm-hmm. Like, Cooper Kupp had to become that blocker and was taken out of the passing games at times, despite him being dominant in the passing game, because they needed somebody to block, and Odell wasn't that type of receiver. So if you really fully unleash Kupp on all the different types of passing concepts that McVay has, in his pocket there, I mean, they would have been running wide open. The running game would have been more effective, and the passing game is more effective. The play action game is more effective. And that team would have just been up by 2 or 3 scores, and then the defensive line would have just eaten people alive.
How does Jared Goff feel today?
I don't think Jared Goff cares. He's made a lot of money, and he's probably sitting on a beach somewhere. You
don't think he cares?
No,
I'm not
he
saying
had his
he's
chance.
Depressed, but you don't think he cares?
I mean, okay, yeah, fine. He's probably like, yeah, that sucks. I was pretty close, and then they moved on someone else. But
and they looked
then
over
he
his
reaches for his my
girlfriend,
time,
and he's like,
yeah.
"Oh yeah, everything's
there
okay."
was. I did see
he's
an
like,
all-time.
Yeah, I'm good.
I did see a really good Twitter conversation that was kind of something about that, and it was, how do you think Jared Goff feels today waking up in Detroit? The guy was like, "You're out of your mind if you think that Jared Goff is still in Detroit right now."
Yeah, no, literally the day after his exit meeting, he was gone.
Yeah, he was on his way to the airport at the exit meeting.
Yeah, he probably has an apartment in Detroit, and that's about it. He's not getting a house there.
6 months lease, that's it.
Yeah. Well, I think that kind of reviews that game pretty well. Anything else you guys want to add before we hit up our prop bet reviews?
No, just that. I mean, going into this offseason, the main thing that we got to address here, Bengals got to continue to try to stay young if possible, because they are going to have to give Burrow that big contract, but they got to get a better offensive line if they want to do anything at all in the future. Joe Burrow's still one play away from,
Yeah, they have cap space.
So
they have a lot of cap space, and they have every single one of their future picks. So they've got the room to do so. Now we'll see if the general manager can really. I would really like to see them, and I'm not a huge proponent of this, but I would really like to see them go all in. Mm-hmm. Like spend every single dime. I think of part of space,
it, though, and if you ask Bengals fans, is that it's kind of ownership too, and not willing to spend the money ever.
Good luck,
and then they kind of
to do that.
Yeah, and then they have spent a little bit of money, and they got to this position, and like you're saying, they still have cap space and draft capital. They really could be a contender, or definitely like AFC Championship contender for the next few years. 10 years if they really wanted to be, but it's up to ownership and front office now.
That's ultimately the thing, which I love Burrow, but he's not a Josh Allen. He's not a Patrick Mahomes.
He can't
he has
crushed.
To go through.
Yeah.
And so they have to take advantage of this cheap contract for Burrow and really lay it down, because assuming Burrow continues to play well, which I do expect him to, they're going to have to give him the bag. And then all of a sudden it becomes infinitely harder. Yep. So they really need to make this 3-year push. And who knows, but everybody thought Dan Marino was going to get back and never did.
Never again.
So we'll see. We all picked the game right, winners at least. I had Cooper Kupp as MVP. You guys both had Stafford. I honestly think you guys should have been right here. I think Stafford was a little more deserving than that. I know Cooper was really good on the back half of that. But
I agree. Thanks.
Stafford.
Actually, if they voted on it after the game, I think Aaron Donald should have got it. But it's voted on before the 2-minute warning when you have the biggest play of the game.
Which is absolutely ridiculous, by the way. Why is that a thing?
I don't know.
That's so
That's
like,
so stupid.
what if, heaven forbid, something important happened in a Super Bowl after the 2-minute warning?
I mean,
like,
that's only happened how many times?
Yeah, so Joe Burrow takes them down and scores a touchdown with less than 2 minutes left. It's like, oh crap, we already gave it to Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, so ridiculous. Well, and if it's before the 2-minute warning, most of that drive is, or at least part of that drive is to after the 2-minute warning. So what
the whole Bengals drive was after.
No, I'm talking about part of the Rams drive.
Yeah, the touchdown.
So, I mean, at that point, Cooper Kupp had maybe like 60 yards and a touchdown, and that was giving him MVP votes.
Yeah,
like that's crazy to me. But oh well, it is what it is.
Other props, how do we do?
Gatorade was blue.
Gatorade was blue. Half credit, I guess, to all of us on the Snoop Dogg smoking, because he didn't technically, but he did behind a screen before he went on. So I don't know if that counts or doesn't count.
Well, I think
hard to give any of us real credit on that one way or the other.
I lost my life savings on that bet.
We all went over on 2.5 players to throw a pass. Joe Mixon cashed that for us early. Actually, before Joe Mixon did, technically doesn't Johnny Hecker cash that for us?
Yes, it does. Yep.
That's an attempt. Does it count as an attempted pass though? If it's a 2-point conversion?
Yes, it counts as attempted pass, and it also counts as a 2-point conversion.
Okay, so both teams to score a touchdown in the opening drive. We all went no there. It obviously did not happen. Gatorade, we all lost. We went orange, red, and clear. Coin toss, AJ and Hunter got that one. We had 2 bets that we won't know the answer to for a while, with the Masters bets and then the approval rating bet. Hunter, you were right on the national anthem. You went over.
Quickie Mickey, not today.
I know. This is that last note, man. She held it. Hunter again on the Burrow prop. Under 1.5 touchdowns.
That was kind of the theme for him this postseason. Was I don't know if he ever had over 2 passing touchdowns in a game. Did he? Maybe had 2 in one of them.
Yeah, it was more of a control the clock, and then either Mixon had one or somehow they figured out a way to score.
Yep.
Kick to hit the uprights. I went no. You guys went yes. Under on 23.5 for the first touchdown. Odell cashed that for us.
Mm.
And
which
then
is what I think a lot of our thinkings were, because we all basically took Odell to score first.
And then first thank you from the MVP went to God/Faith, which me and AJ had, which I wish I would have put actual money on, because that was like plus 800, which felt ridiculous to me. But
I was right. That's all that matters. Even though I got
right.
the least amount right, you guys got 8. I got 7.
Yep.
Kudos to you guys. Let's
So-
rematch next year.
Sounds good.
All right, time to sign off. You guys want to say anything to the listeners before we head out for a few weeks, months? Who knows?
Thanks for
Bring
listening.
some more
this year.
people so that
Bring some
someone
more
will pay me
people.
to do this next year.
Yeah.
Tell your friends about us for the draft stuff, because we will come knowledgeable for the draft. You can bet your bottom dollar that.
Hey,
And
if
then
we're
we'll be horrifically wrong in 2 to 3 years. But it's okay. We'll think we know what we're talking about by the time we get to the draft.
Yep. We will. Just like draft people do.
oh yeah.
If there's
Anything else,
anything
Hunter?
we can promise our listeners, it's that we think we know what we're talking about.
We got a
Until
couple.
next-
We got a couple weeks here
go
to
ahead.
figure out what we're going to talk about in this draft as well. I'm excited. So I'll see you guys later in the year.
Take it easy, everyone.